Hi everyone, it's Wendy here, and this is the first in a short series of videos that accompany Module 3. So the first one accompanies the first section of the module, which is to do with active reading and reading strategies that you're going to learn how to employ. So let's have a look. So the first few pages of the study guide in Module 3 talk about what reading is exactly about and why we might read differently in an academic environment in comparison to, say, reading for fun or recreation. So it points out that reading is about making meaning. Reading is about thinking, so it will often provoke us to think about new ideas. And reading is also about comprehension. So when we're reading, we're understanding, hopefully, what we're reading. And if we're not, that's when we might need to investigate further or ask more questions. It also talks about the different types of material that we read, so different genres or texts, as the study guide calls them. So we've come across the concept of genre already, and that just means different types of books and other resources in different styles, and all of those different types of texts have certain expectations. We have certain expectations when we pick up, say, a light novel compared to when we might pick up a heavier book that's more academic. We might be more or less familiar with the material that we're going to read, and it might be more or less challenging to us to read it also. So those are all things that are going to come into consideration as you start reading and researching towards your academic writing. A really valuable section of these introductory pages of Module 3 talks about what your brain's doing while you're actually reading. So that's why we're talking about reading in an active way. So everything you read, you should be trying to connect the new information to prior knowledge that you might have about the topic. As you read, your brain might be consciously or subconsciously making decisions or developing new opinions or reinforcing existing opinions about what you're reading. You might also be organising and summarising the information to get a general overview of what you're reading as you go along. And then you start to put that information together in a way that makes sense for you, and that's where the process of creating new understanding comes from when you're reading. And you're also looking at the structure of the text or the piece of reading and understanding it in that way. So if it's a compare and contrast piece of writing, you'll understand it differently than if you find yourself reading a problem solution structure in a piece of reading, and it will make sense in a different way to you. So the point I've made already here is that the reading that you're going to do for your academic work is different to the reading that you'll do when you read for recreation. So when we read for recreation, we're really just reading for fun, enjoyment, to relax. When you're doing your academic reading, which is part of the research process, you have to be a lot more active in order to comprehend and understand what you're reading, because you want to use that information to help you write. So one of the reading strategies that the study guide talks about is this SQ3R strategy, where you go through 5 steps in the reading. You survey, you question, you read, you recall, and you review. And those processes are described in detail in the first few pages of Module 3. So I'd encourage you to have a look at how that works and see if you can put it into practice in some way as you keep going through Module 3. The other reading strategy it talks about are 3 different processes that we're all probably quite familiar with. So that's skimming and scanning and skipping. So as a university student, you're going to be presented with a lot of reading, and in the initial stages of your research process you won't have time to read it word for word in great detail. What you'll do first is skim or scan for keywords that you're looking for, or probably skip through the chapters or look at the index to see if it covers the topics you're after. And from there you'll make a decision whether you're going to need to read this piece of research in detail or whether it's not going to be very useful for you. So that's part of the reading and research process as well. And that leads us to the third strategy, which is critical reading. So once you've decided on a topic that you're going to research and you've been through the process of sort of evaluating if what you've found when you've searched the library catalogue is useful to you, then you will engage in the process of critical reading, where you do read word for word, and you sit and you highlight and you take notes, which is something we're going to look at shortly, and this will give you the detailed knowledge on the topic that you're researching and help you with your writing. So, to sum up, all these skills with active reading are part of your research, and that's a stage in the pre-writing process. So if you're reading effectively, that's going to help you to plan and clarify your ideas, because you're researching the ideas of others and you're sifting through them and you're deciding what's going to be useful to you and your topic that you're going to write about. So the activity that you need to complete now is activity 3.1, 3-1 in the study guide, and then the next video will move on to the next few pages.